Real quick video on these devils. Yeah. Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakah Kadash. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostle, elder bishops, great millstone, much salutations to the brothers teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be the elect, most high will, to the hopeful esteemed elect, shalom, blessings. It says the history of white slaves in America. And you know, you got a lot of comments. You got 1,600, almost 1,700 comments. You know, and Edomites. This Matt Welsh guy, he's probably an Edomite. He's probably a Jewish person. And I read a few of the comments in it, and I don't know what he's getting to with this. Indians, when they were surviving, John fell behind the journey. Having the son of the bloody. Well, if they're talking about the Native Americans, dumbasses, they were killing y'all because y'all were strangers to this land. The hell they supposed stories like Mary Moore were. We're not gonna consider that as nowhere near slavery. And they still show our slavery. When I looked it up, when I Googled it, they still show Jake's slavery. And you got to be careful, these Jakes are changing the narrative. Now, when I read a couple of these, American Colony, after the victim died, the women butchered his remains, cast him. Yeah, I don't know what he's getting to. Many free Negroes all about this region. Some were very rich. He pointed to me 3 plantations within 20 miles owned by colored men. So they're saying rich men, colored men owned slaves. White slaves, I guess. The French, black kill and master were they severe. And they whipped niggas most to death. They whipped the flesh off of them. These devils, boy, they'll try to get in. And that doesn't mean you're still good. That doesn't mean you're going to heaven. Remember, the Most High hated these nations. So, you know, even if you went into slavery and whatever you claim even with the Holocaust, that don't mean that the Most High loves you. Now, the way you think about y'all, the children of God, well, we the children of God. But the way that y'all think about, well, the Most High was wroth with his own people. We know that Most High was wroth with his own people. We went into slavery. So if you're trying to compare the two, if there was such thing as white slavery, who cares? Because Most High don't care about Edom. He said he hated Esau with a perfect hatred. I mean, you know, he hated Esau. So, you know, who cares? And there goes Shoemaker Charleston and his wife for $700, but on finding her hard to please, he sold her a few. What is this getting to, man? Let me listen to him a little bit.
In 1860. The reality is that a very small percentage of freed blacks and American Indians owned slaves, but the same is true for white Americans. In the 1860 census, at the very height of slavery, there were 393,975 slave owners in the U.S. out of a total population of over 31 million. That translates to about 1.2% of the population. The vast majority of American whites never owned any slaves. That's a critical point when in the context of modern calls for reparations. As a rule, black slaves in the American South had a life expectancy of 40 years and an annual mortality rate of 3 to 5%. Their odds of getting married, having children, attaining freedom were dramatically higher than slaves in the Caribbean, Brazil, East Africa, or, God forbid, Dahomey.
That's our people. So
Slaves in the Caribbean lived in
the hell you talking
barracks.
about?
In the South, they had cabins. There's no doubt that being a slave was a bad life, but to be enslaved, it was better to be enslaved in the United States. The clearest metric on
And then why were they trying to go back to Russia? You know, I think during the 1920s and 1930s, they said living in Russia was better than living in the U.S. They had jobs. They didn't experience the height of racism there. So what are you talking about, dumbasses?
this is that the U.S. slaves' population kept growing after slave imports were banned in 1808. Unlike other parts of the Americas where deaths exceeded births, the U.S. ended up with nearly 4 million slaves in 1860, despite only 400,000 arrivals. Now, one reason for the better conditions could be incentives. With the import ban, slave owners' best source of slaves was high birth rates. Buying more was really expensive. Typical price for an able-bodied...
These devils think they so smart, man. Like, Most High said that all that pride that you have and knowledge puff it up, it's gonna be swallowed up, man. You devils ain't got nothing on the wisdom, knowledge, wisdom, understanding of these scriptures. That's why you hate the prophets, you dumbasses. But anyway, when I read a few scriptures, they were talking about the Irish, the Scottish, and I think mainly the Scottish and Irish they mentioned in the scriptures that were part of that enslavement, and they don't know their history because the Irish, we were the Irish, we were the Scottish, we were the Britons. So if they read a book and it says, well, the Britons went into slavery, that doesn't mean it's talking about y'all. That's why they now they all of a sudden expanding their knowledge and reading about other incidents, events that it was possible slavery for them. But they were before that, before the truth came out. I mean, now the truth is on a high level. They keying in on those things, trying to highlight those things when it used to be they was just sleeping on their asses and their backs or their faces talking about the Holocaust. Because the Holocaust didn't prove a damn thing according to the scriptures. That was all set up anyway. But now they want to dig deeper and try to find pieces in history that they think apply to them. Well, like I said, we were the British, we were the Irish, we were the English. England means the land of the angels. Britain means the man of the covenant. That's not them. And then when we ruled Europe for 1,000 years, and then the Europe is not even a real place because they keep saying the Europeans, the Europeans don't mean so-called white people, man. Y'all got to get that straight too, man. We ruled so-called Europe for 1,000 years. And, you devils were in the caves, man. The dark nations ran y'all into the caves. Y'all wasn't in slavery. Y'all were just in the caves of so-called Europe. To where y'all were so inconsistent with your hygiene and all that we had to go cultivate you and teach you, how to do things. It's nature knows no color. It's in that book, Nature Knows No Color Line. But we, just like any other nation, when they take over another nation, they take the spoils. So you'll see pics of Moors, with the so-called white women at their feet. Because they took these, not only white women, they took other nationalities too. Same thing happened during the time of King David and King Solomon. That's how Solomon had 300 concubines of these other nations. Let me read a couple of See, this woman say, what about the Irish? That was us, man. If you go look up the map and you look up and you see Ireland and it's the same kind of regional location, if you will, as the Wales, Dublin, places like that. Dublin means dark man. They even got the Scottish means black man, the land of Scots, which means black. With it, Wales, you know, they got a. I think they got a land. They got a regional place called the Holy Head. Also, the Dutch, Dutch is short for Duke. It's another word for Duke. We had dukes among ourselves during the, Byzantine Empire. Duke is a prominent man of the British colony or the British Empire, so to speak. We were the Britons, so we definitely we was known to be dukes. But Edom have his dukes too. It mentioned that the dukes of Edom. So royalty, when it comes to royalty and slavery, it could play, it could play among different nations at different times, but overall, no matter what happened to them, whether they went down base and low, or some of them became slaves along with the Irish, with the Scottish, with the British, they're still Edomites, man. Who cares at the end of the day? I mean, we're talking about prophecy, the end of y'all's time. We're talking about, okay, yeah, ups and downs. Nations have gotten advantage of other nations, so to speak. And one came up and one went down. And the Most High is in control of that. He says that. He bringeth one up and taketh one down, paraphrasing. But see, they mentioned the Irish, right here. And they think everything that when everything goes back to being white, or when white, Irish doesn't mean white. Neither does European mean white. It doesn't mean white people. The Dutch, French, and all that doesn't mean white people, man. Frank comes from the word truth. It came from the meaning of truth, or honest. Who's the honest people? I'm not talking about the state of Jake now. I'm talking about our origin. That we have biblical laws, and we have uprightness about us. I'm talking about the Jake, his origin, of where you come from the Father of heaven, Yahweh Shai. That's why people say, let me be frank with you. Let me be honest with you. We were the Franks. They said they won't listen to you. They have been taught that only dark-skinned people can be slaves and only white people own slaves. Even thought it was invented by Arabia. Kamala Harris' grandfather owns some. Who gives a damn about Kamala Harris? She's not even a Jake, man. They base it on skin. Why are you devils still base shit on skin color, man? We're telling you every damn weekend and every day throughout the scriptures that black isn't a damn nation, man, and that white isn't a damn nation. I'm talking about a nation of people. It's not a tribe. It's not a lineage. It's not a nation of a people. It's just black means that's a color. It can make reference, but that's not what it is. I know they thinking about the Hebrew Israelites when they saying this. So what? Y'all like Apostle Torah always say, y'all two-time losers, man. If y'all went into slavery and got hung like we did, got yokes of iron up on y'all neck, y'all went through it in vain. Cause y'all ain't gonna get paid for that. Y'all ain't gonna get reparations, you know. And if y'all talk about reparations, y'all live in your reparations. You own the fucking world, man. You own America. The Russians are Edomites as well as the Edomites over here in the United States. Now, see, now these Edomites think they got a one up on us. Like, yeah, you know, the YouTube is definitely shadowing this. Now they see y'all got to be careful, man, not to believe these devils. And you could do your own history, your research. If you find something, you know, you could bring it out, do a video on it. We're not scared to discover a history where Edomites, you know, a portion of Edomites went into slavery. So we don't give a damn. So what? We talking about prophecies, man. And we talking about we still the children of God. Gonna act like now they got something. Now, you know, watch vocab hop on this. It's white slavery. What about them? I'm white and my first ancestor in America was a slave. Are you Irish? Are you British? Irishman? Scotsman. We know Scotsman was our people. The lineages of the seed line. So you might have a great grandfather that went into slavery. Guess what? He was a Jake. He was an Israelite. Look at that. Look at that. They're blackwashing history, justice for white slaves. Man, Most High hate y'all. Y'all going into slavery, man. I don't know what the hell y'all talking about. Damn devils. He hated Esau. Let's go back to that. He hated Esau with a perpetual hatred. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of their followers, man. You know, y'all don't got one up on us, man. You know, and prove y'all shit. Start coming out with it. Start doing videos. More of y'all doing videos about it. We'll guess what? We'll be there too, talking about how this bullshit. Talking about, and we'll dissect that shit. We'll dissect everything y'all talk about, man. Y'all want to talk about the Irish? We'll go back to who the original Irish were, who the original Britons were. You had a whole black British, you know, body that fought for these devils when they came over here to colonize America. I wish y'all would try to go deep into this. Do that shit, man. Make your videos, man. Anyway, this is a rant video, but hey, y'all know the scriptures, man. Show your yoke of iron up on your neck. And then they talking about, well, those pages are lost. How y'all gonna keep up with everything else to be so specific and so, studious about everything else, but somehow y'all lost y'all's history, the pictures and the yoke of iron up on your neck, and y'all hit. Show your shit, man. Do your videos, cause I bet we'll dissect that. I know we will. Starting with the apostle, elder bishops on down, cut that shit up and throw that shit in the trash, man. What y'all talking about? And y'all should have came out with this. Y'all should have been doing videos about this. Y'all should have came out with. Y'all should have been teaching this in school, man. If that's the case, now these devils want to try to change the narrative because they finding out in history and they don't even got their history right. They don't even know that the Irish was us, the British was us, and they don't even address the fact, or even vocab, that a lot of the Israelites look like so-called white people, you dumbasses. Why don't y'all address that? Y'all are the only ones that go by skin color, man. But yet you talking about, yeah, you ain't supposed to be racist. Most High's gonna find y'all out. He already found y'all. Cast out the bag. He gonna destroy y'all. That's the next move. Cause y'all not only evil in y'all thoughts, y'all hypocrites, and you all are liars. And you're the ones that go by the outwardly appearance, like the Most High said, He don't look on the outward appearance of men. We just stating facts, and y'all turn it into a racist by color. Damn devil. That's how base these devils think, man. That's how base these devils are. That when they feel their back is against the wall, and it's according to what they have learned from their own fathers, with the black and white, black only restrooms and white only. We didn't create that shit. Y'all did. That's what y'all basing your knowledge on when you try to apply it according to history. Devils. It's according to your bloodline, and the bloodline of the Irish go back to Israel, go back to our people. Bloodline of Scotland goes back to our people. We ruled all over in those regions. Anyway, till next video, shalom.